Thank you for staying. In our first story, former President John Dramani Mahama says Ghana was better managed under his administration compared to now under President Akakpo. Now, speaking at Tumu ahead of the party's presidential and parliamentary primaries on Saturday, the NDC flag bearer hopeful said despite flowery promises of the MPP in 2016, it had done little to fulfill the promises. Hence, the economic hardship Ghanaians were now wallowing in. Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Tumu.
Democratic Congress flag bearer hopeful John Dramani Mahama began his two-day campaign tour of the Upper West region at Tumu, capital of the South East constituency. He interacted with the 837 delegates drawn from 96 branches of the party that will be voting at the party's presidential and parliamentary primaries on Saturday. The delegates, clad in the party's paraphernalia and over 2 dozen glowing Vuvuzela happy supporters, the auditorium of the Tumu College of Education was full to the rafters. Former President John Dramani Mahama used the occasion to introduce the trio aspiring to represent the party in the 2024 polls, urging them and their supporters to put the primaries behind them once a victor emerges in the Saturday polls, and then went in for the jugular of the new Patriotic Party and President Akufo-Addo.
In 2016, all the lies they told, all the propaganda they told, Ghanaians can now see the truth. All the preaching, Yatisikasu, Akomdeye, and all that, Ghana, Yemo, and all those things. I mean, we are now even more mobile today than in 2016. Any work anybody does, you hardly get any profit. I can beat my chest and say that in 2016, when MDC was in power, our lives were far better than they are today. So I can assure you, all the predictions, all the opinion polls show that NDC is coming back into office.
He reiterated earlier plans made on the need to complete all projects started by the NDC and now being abandoned by the MPP.
All over, you go to our schools, you go to all our districts, and there are projects that government started that have been abandoned. There are some that are ongoing, but because they are not paying the contractors are not on site. We were building a lot of roads. When they came, they asked them to stop. They asked them to go back, but they are not paying the contractors, so the work is not going fast. So what we'll do is we're not going to be in a hurry to start new projects. We're going to take an inventory of all the abandoned projects and ongoing projects, including their own. We're not going to just do ours. Including their own. The projects that any projects they are working on now, I don't see many of them, but whatever they are working on, together with ours that they abandoned, the E-blocks, the hospitals and all that, we're going to continue and finish them before we start any new projects.
The former president later rolled out of town and headed west to Bolu, where he also interacted with delegates of the party in the South West constituency. The South West constituency has 881 delegates drawn from 94 branches of the party. The delegates have resolved to not only give a resounding victory in Saturday's presidential primary, but will work to ensure that John Dramani Mahama is returned to power to continue with his good works as well. Leading the charge are the constituency chairman, Faisal Mahmoud, and the member of parliament, Adam Suparu.
We know, and we are aware you can do the work. You have been on the seat before. You have an unfinished project that we are waiting on you to do. And out of that, we wish and pray that you win power and come and continue with those projects.
We in Sisala West wouldn't have not even a single senior high school to boast of. We are aware of the many projects we initiated in our constituency here. And so Based on your experience, as you said yourself, it is experience and not experiment. We are going to ensure
Former President John Dramani Mahama spoke about the implementation of the free senior high school program implemented by the government, which he said is riddled with serious challenges due to lack of consultation.
When he introduced the free SHS, I said hold a stakeholder consultation so that you can implement it properly, because there are challenges. And since then they've refused. Today the free SHS is not working properly. The children go for a few weeks and then they come back. After you have spent so much money sending your child to school, they go and spend 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then they are back home. When NDC was in office, our children all used to go to school at the same time. And they spend 2 months, 3 months in school before they come back. Today, when they come back after 4 weeks, you have to get a teacher and pay the teacher to continue to teach them so that they don't forget what they learned in school. And this has all become a major issue.
The former president wrapped up his day campaign tour of the region by visiting Lambuse, Nandom, Laura, and West Central constituencies.
Reporting for the news, Rafik Salam, Tumu.
Now, the Ghana Boundary Commission and the minister responsible for lands and natural resources are expected to appear before Parliament's Select Committee on Lands and Forestry when Parliament resumes. The invitation is for the two to provide answers on the exclusion of the Surveying and Mapping Division of the Lands Commission from the governing board of the Ghana Boundary Commission. Chairperson of the committee, Francis Menu Adabo, who disclosed this to the media in Kumasi, believes certain boundary operations meant for surveyors and the Lands Commission are being handled by unwarranted professionals. There's more in this report.
The commission was established by an act of parliament to demarcate, delimit and manage Ghana's international and internal boundaries. The 15-member governing body, chaired by the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, does not include the Surveying and Mapping Division of the Lands Commission, but the Ghana Institute of Surveyors. Speaking at the National Retreat of Surveyors, Chairperson of Parliament's Select Committee on Lands and Forestry, Francis Menu Adabo, observed the decision is inappropriate and insists on the inclusion of surveyors.
It was there, but they were working under the Survey and Mapping Division years back. The Director of Survey had complete control of the mapping they do at the boundary, because you don't compromise 1 inch at the boundary. 1 inch of land can bring confusion at the boundary. So whatever they do as a commission, I think somebody from the Survey and Mapping Division should be part. If they say somebody from the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, we have 3 different divisions there. There can be a valuer, there can be architect, and there can be a land surveyor. But that aspect should be land surveyor. You should go in there, see to the practices, make sure all the accuracies and everything is taken care of before they go out and do the boundary demarcation. So I will invite the Executive Secretary and then the Boundary Commission. They are all reporting to my committee. And then we bring the minister and iron out. I'm not saying what they are doing is not right. They have qualified surveyors there, but their work should be controlled by the Director of Surveys.
The 2023 National Retreat of the Surveying and Mapping Division of the Lands Commission brought together surveyors across the country to deliberate on adopting measures to digitalize the sector. The MP warned the surveyors against working with unqualified surveyors who are denting the image of the profession.
There are so many quack surveyors out there, and some of you people know them and you work with them. So many quack surveyors out there, you know them and you work with them. So how can we protect the profession? Believe me, the Survey and Mapping Division, if we fail, the Lands Commission fails. Because all the other sectors, all the other divisions use your data for their job.
Director of Survey at the Lands Commission, Na Bukari Abudulai, believes review of existing laws on mapping and surveying could smoke out quacks in the profession.
We've had a whole lot of the land disputes in all sectors of the courts, largely because wrong people go into want to do survey, they want to do registration, and they will want to sell land when they don't even own the land. They don't even know where the land is. So it is only our laws that would be able to deal with such people in such a manner that others would not be thinking of repeating same mistakes.
The insurgents of boundary disputes continue to wreak havoc in communities. Paramount Chief of Asante Achim Domiabra, Bafo Owusu Bediakom, wants the institution to work in resolving land disputes.
The lack of adequate measures to deal with these issues have led to poverty, inter- and intra-tribal conflict, leading to loss of life and property, among others. Technological advancement has afforded us the opportunity to charter a new path in the practice of survey in the country. It is my earnest prayer that the outcome of this all-important meeting will lead to a great transformation in survey practice and improved efficiency and productivity in land management in the country.
The 2023 National Retreat of the Surveying and Mapping Division of the Lands Commission was held under the theme Repositioning Surveying and Mapping in the Era of Digitalization for Socio-Economic Development. The division called on the government to support them with resources as they strive to digitalize the surveying industry. For Joy News, Emmanuel Bright Kweku reporting.
Let's head to the Kumasi Central Market now, where traders affected by the second phase of the KTR redevelopment project are up against a government over the stalled construction. They are mobilizing to remove barricades at the project site to start trading if government fails to ensure work resumes in the next 2 months. Now, the traders are questioning the turnaround of promises before their relocation, that funds were available for the project to progress smoothly.
The second phase of the KTR redevelopment project halted in December last year. Construction firm contractor laid off over 2,000 workers who were engaged on projects awarded to the company in Kumasi. Some weeks ago, angry petty traders demonstrated against the members of parliament in the region for doing less to ensure the completion of the market facility. The traders are up again, prevailing on the government to ensure the contractors return to site. If they don't come back to site, we will show this government that we are very serious. We are giving them just 2 months. If they don't come and continue the work, we will go and make sales regardless. We are telling Nanado that his refusal to continue this project means he's neglecting Asanteman, because this is what we also do for a living. Some of the aggrieved traders claim they have lost their capital due to the temporary loss of trading space. Times are hard for us as fathers. My children are in senior high and the university. We plead with government to begin the project as soon as possible. We leave everything to God, but we will boycott the 2024 election. Leaders of the combined Kumasi Central Market Traders Union, Emilia Kofi and Joseph Owusu, say they are expecting the government to get the contractors on site in the next 2 months to avert an industrial action.
We are still expecting a completion of the project by the stipulated date. That is what that's how I'll put it. They gave us a time when they are going to complete. Our only worry is that with the break in the construction of the project, we ask ourselves if they can meet the time that they set. We want to believe that the government will meet it. Otherwise, as traders, we will have to advise ourselves.
First one, a press conference was hard way home. I could see, I could see I'm paying for. As my mukache said, this IMF scanner, they abba. But because you're trying to IMF, to be frank,
we doubt they can fix it before June, and if they don't, we will take action.
It is a true one now, and we will take action.
For Joe News, Nana Boachi Dankwayadom reporting.
Now, the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications has trained about 14,000 marginalized Ghanaians under its Digital Transformation Center project. The project, which will train 17,000 people across the country, seeks to bridge the sex and rural-urban digital divide by equipping the masses with ICT soft skills. There's more in this report.
The 3-year Digital Transformation Center project, which is being implemented by the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications, aimed at providing soft skills for 17,000 beneficiaries. The project has already seen the training of 14 youth in Cisco-certified basic and intermediate ICT courses. The fourth cohort saw the training of 4,335 youth at the 155 GIFEC community ICT centers across the country. The Chief Executive Officer of GIFEC, Prince Ofosu Sefa, shed more light on the Digital Transformation Center project.
But it's also aimed at bridging the digital divide. So from that sense, we try to skew it into areas where we're a bit behind. In terms of, as you can see, there are a bit more women in this program. That's by design. We're trying to bridge the digital divide. And the digital divide is not one that is only geographic in terms of the difference between those who live in the urban areas and the rural areas, but it's also a digital divide from the standpoint of certain communities, such as some of our women and girls who sometimes we find don't apply or use technology as much as the male counterparts. So we try to do a few things with it. Bridge the digital divide from a sex standpoint, and then bridge the digital divide from a rural and urban standpoint.
The Home Municipal Chief Executive, Divine Borson, entreated the trainees to use the skills required for the intended purpose.
Information technology is simply finding solutions to societal problems by coming up with innovative ideas. Utilize your skill, and the sky will be your beginning point. I want to remind you of the importance of continued learning. The digital age is constantly evolving, and we must continue to adapt to keep up with the latest trends and technologies.
In our next story, the European Union's ambassador to Ghana, Irkad Razali, has stressed the need for Ghana to deepen ties with the EU towards the execution of shared developmental objectives. He says the EU is still committed to supporting Ghana despite the challenges imposed by the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Pakwesi Shandov has more from a gathering of dignitaries and guests at this year's EU Day celebration.
It's the official EU's residence here in Accra, the place that has been formally designated to host this year's edition of the Europe Day. Now, the essence of this particular celebration is to, of course, amplify the EU and, more importantly, deepen the rapport between the EU and Ghana. The event today will, of course, see speeches being read by dignitaries and other prominent fellows from government, as well as representation from the European Union. The annual event seeks to celebrate the peace and unity in Europe. This year, scores of excited foreign nationals in Ghana were present in their numbers. Speaking at the function, the EU's ambassador to Ghana, Irkad Razali, stressed the need for deepened ties between Ghana and the EU, especially in the area of youth development.
Together with you, we are ready to embrace this challenge by supporting and empowering Ghanaian youth to gain skills, acquire jobs, and have bright futures before them. In quoting an eminent Ghanaian, a society that cuts off from its youth severs its lifeline, once said the late Kofi Annan. So to bring life back into our economies and democracies, both on the European and African continents, the answer lies in turning to our young generation and providing them with the right skills to to thrive. And this is what we are doing.
According to him, despite the challenges imposed by the Russian-Ukraine war, the EU is still resolute in supporting Ghana.
Despite Russia's ongoing and justified aggression on Ukraine at our doorstep, I would like to underline that the EU does not look away from other major instability and from other major partners. Not €1 has been diverted from our initial commitment to Ghana. On the contrary, we are expanding, increasing our initial envelope to address new needs and new challenges. We stick by our partners like Ghana, and we stand by our commitments.
Minister of Youth and Sports Mustafa Yusuf also reiterated government's readiness to partner the EU to better the lot of young people in the country.
We are also grateful for the EU to continue support of the youth in the area of education through the provision of scholarships to Ghanaian students studying in European universities. We are hopeful that other EU projects in the pipeline aimed at empowering and developing the youth will be launched soon for the mutual benefit of EU and Ghana.
Some young participants also expressed delight and emphasized the need for young people to be supported across all walks of life.
And on that European note, we cap off the news, but stay with us. We're joined by Dr. Kwame Asante of the University of Ghana as we get into the papers.